We couldn't believe what we were hearing. Local rumors had been circulating for months about an abandoned five-star hotel somewhere deep in the outskirts of the city, a once glorious place that had suddenly shut its doors almost overnight. The strangest part of the story wasn't just the hotel's decay, but the whispers that inside its underground parking lot were dozens of untouched luxury cars left behind, as if their owners had vanished into thin air. So early one misty morning, we packed our cameras, flashlights, and gear, and drove out toward the location, determined to see whether this unbelievable tale was true. The GPS led us along cracked asphalt roads surrounded by overgrown grass and trees reclaiming the space. As we approached the hotel grounds, a towering gate covered in rust and ivy came into view. The logo above it was faded but still legible. It read Grand Monarch Palace Hotel. Once a place that hosted celebrities, business elites, and foreign dignitaries, it now stood silent, a relic of lost opulence. We squeezed through a gap in the gate and were immediately greeted by a sense of eerie stillness. The wind howled through broken glass panes, and vines crawled across the once polished marble facade. Every step we took echoed through the massive lobby, where crystal chandeliers still hung precariously from the ceiling, now covered in dust and cobwebs. The reception desk was littered with faded brochures and old guest lists, some still bearing names of wealthy travelers from around the world. But we were there for something else, the cars. We carefully made our way toward the lower floors, using a service stairwell that creaked under our weight. The deeper we went, the colder the air became. The walls were marked with water stains, and the faint scent of mold filled the corridors. Finally, we reached a heavy metal door labeled Parking Level -3, and what we found beyond that point made our jaws drop. The beam of our flashlight cut through the darkness, revealing row upon row of vehicles, luxury cars from the early 2000s to the late 2010s, all covered in layers of dust but astonishingly intact. The first car we recognized was a silver Bentley Continental GT, its sleek body still shimmering faintly under the dust. Next to it, a black Rolls-Royce Ghost sat silently, its spirit of ecstasy ornament still standing proud. Further down, a bright red Ferrari 458 Italia gleamed beneath a thin veil of dirt, like a sleeping beast waiting to roar again. Each car had a thin white tag hanging from its mirror, with what looked like the owner's name and a date, possibly the day they were parked here. Many of those dates were from around 2018, the same year the hotel reportedly shut down. We kept walking, filming every corner in disbelief. There were BMW M Series sedans, Mercedes-Benz S-Class coupes, a Lamborghini Huracan with just 3,000 kilometers on the odometer, and even a rare Aston Martin Rapide hidden behind a pile of old luggage carts. It felt like walking into a time capsule of forgotten wealth. We started speculating about what could have caused this. According to a few locals we interviewed later, the Grand Monarch Palace had been owned by a major international developer who went bankrupt during a global financial crisis. Some guests, mostly foreign dignitaries and business executives, were reportedly stranded when the property abruptly closed, leaving their possessions, and in some cases, their cars, behind. Others claimed the hotel was seized during a massive corruption investigation, and everything inside was frozen as part of a legal battle. Whatever the truth, it was clear that no one had returned to reclaim these mechanical treasures. What surprised us most was that despite years of abandonment, the vehicles were relatively well preserved. Some still had keys inside, and a few even had personal belongings, designer sunglasses, receipts from luxury boutiques, and half-empty bottles of champagne. We tried to imagine the scene on the day the hotel shut down. Guests checking out in a panic, staff leaving their posts, and luxury cars rolling down into this underground vault for what would unknowingly be their final rest. The deeper we explored, the more surreal it became. The far end of the garage was dimly lit by sunlight filtering through broken ventilation grates. There, we found a cluster of vehicles covered under branded car covers. Pulling one back revealed a mint-condition Porsche 911 Turbo S in metallic blue. Another cover concealed a Range Rover Autobiography edition with tinted windows and a still fragrant leather interior. Every time we uncovered a new vehicle, it felt like opening a treasure chest. The echoes of our footsteps mixed with the beeps of our camera recorders, creating an almost cinematic atmosphere of discovery and disbelief. On one wall, we noticed a faded sign labeled VIP parking, reserved guests only, and beneath it stood some of the rarest machines of all, a McLaren 650S Spider, a Maybach 62S, and a Tesla Model S from one of its earliest production years. The Tesla's infotainment screen still faintly flickered when we pressed the start button, suggesting the battery still held some charge even after all these years. But amidst all this luxury, a strange sadness lingered. Every car told a story of wealth, of status, of journeys abruptly cut short. The dust-covered dashboards were like frozen memories of another era. In one glove box, we found a printed invitation to a high-profile diplomatic event dated the same week the hotel reportedly closed. Another car, a Mercedes S63 AMG, still had a valet parking receipt from the Grand Monarch's own luxury valet service, time-stamped at 10:45 p.m., just hours before the power went out for good. As we filmed the scene, we could hear the soft dripping of water from a leaky pipe somewhere in the ceiling, echoing through the cavernous parking area. Occasionally, the sound of pigeons fluttering from broken vents reminded us that nature had already begun reclaiming this space. The contrast between the decaying concrete and the untouched luxury cars created a haunting beauty that was hard to put into words. We decided to venture upstairs to see if the hotel itself offered more clues. The elevator shafts were filled with debris, so we climbed the grand staircase instead. The once sparkling marble steps were now cracked and covered in dust. The walls were lined with gold-trimmed mirrors, many of them shattered, reflecting fragments of our flashlight beams. The ballroom was perhaps the most haunting of all. Tables still set with crystal glassware, a grand piano sitting silently in the corner, and faded banners from a long-forgotten gala night. A schedule board near the entrance read International Investment Summit, 2018, suggesting that the shutdown may have coincided with that event. It was surreal to imagine such opulence vanishing overnight, leaving behind nothing but echoes of laughter, champagne bubbles, and now, silence. When we returned to the parking level, we noticed something we had missed before, a row of filing cabinets in a small office near the entrance. Inside were car registration documents, insurance papers, and handwritten notes that confirmed our suspicions. The cars had been seized as part of an ongoing financial scandal involving the hotel's parent company. Apparently, several of these vehicles were leased or owned by corporate executives who fled the country when the investigation began. Because the case was never fully resolved, the cars remained locked away as legal assets, slowly gathering dust for over 7 years. What started as an urban legend turned out to be a snapshot of real-life corporate downfall. We couldn't help but imagine what would happen if these cars were ever rediscovered officially. Some of them, like the Lamborghini and Aston Martin, could easily fetch hundreds of thousands of dollars even today, provided they were restored properly. Yet it seemed no one wanted to take responsibility for this forgotten collection. Outside, the once luxurious hotel grounds had become a jungle of overgrowth, with nature reclaiming the driveways and fountains that once greeted millionaires and celebrities. Stray animals had taken shelter in the lobby, and the swimming pool, now filled with green stagnant water, reflected the skeletal remains of what was once a paradise of indulgence. As the sun began to set, we stood at the entrance of the underground parking lot one last time, taking in the sight of all those forgotten machines, a ghost fleet of luxury and ambition, trapped in time beneath the ruins of human greed. The quiet hum of our camera drones echoed faintly as we captured wide shots of the entire collection, Rolls-Royces lined beside Ferraris, Porsches beside BMWs, all united in decay. It was beautiful and tragic all at once. We left the site with mixed emotions, awe, disbelief, and an overwhelming sense of curiosity about how something so valuable could be so easily forgotten. When we uploaded the footage later, viewers were stunned. Some recognized specific license plates, and even claimed to have stayed at the hotel during its final days. Others speculated that secretive government agencies were involved, while a few conspiracy theorists suggested the cars belonged to underground elites who used the hotel as a front for covert meetings. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain. The Grand Monarch Palace and its hidden treasure of luxury cars stand as a chilling reminder of how quickly wealth and power can vanish. What was once a symbol of grandeur is now a haunting relic of ambition gone wrong. We still wonder what will become of those vehicles, whether they'll ever be rescued, restored, or simply left to rot as part of an urban legend. For us, it was one of the most surreal explorations we've ever done, a journey through time, luxury, and loss, wrapped inside the silence of an abandoned five-star dream.